This conference will now be recorded.
Welcome to our AnCan All Blood Cancers meeting. It's February, as you can see from at least two of us in red. Happy February, everyone. And in case no one says to you, Happy Valentine's Day, Happy Valentine's Day, yes, I'm wishing it to all of you out there. I'm Michelle NADEEM-BAKER. I have chronic lymphocytic leukemia, and I am in Boston. And I am going to see who here has something they would like to share tonight as everyone goes around to introduce themselves. Jim, I know you need time.
Yeah, I need time because you may not stick around, and I've got something for you. I'm Jim Marshall. I have prostate cancer, but I have a sister with multiple myeloma that just had surgery on her brain for it, and she got shipped off to a rehab place for about 10 days, and she just came home yesterday, and I don't know how it is. But this is another story that I need to give a little bit of background, which might not seem relevant, but eventually it'll all fit in. I got a question for you, Michelle, because I think you might know the answer. Anyway, I do the veterans group, and I go over to the Fort Myer USO a lot to meet veterans. So I'm over there earlier this week, and I'm in there. And what happens during the time the Navy and the Air Force are not planting people within the Arlington National Cemetery, they stroll into the USO to have drinks or coffee or play cards. Well, I was in there, and I then overheard a young sailor who probably, I don't think, can be over 20 years old, um, express the fact that he was going to apply to be a disabled veteran, which my ears perked up. So I went over, just to talk to him, and found out that he has been diagnosed with CML at that young age. And I was curious, how prevalent is that? And although he was just told that he had it, and he's still trying to figure out how they will handle him. Will he be kept in the service for a time, or how does that generally work? Is that a common thing, or is it uncommon?
Just as common as CLL.
It's just as common. Age isn't such a big deal in that. Like, most of the people I see are old. Not
Being recorded.
Oh, okay. Now
This conference will now be recorded.
Sorry, I was
What's happening?
I hit the wrong button trying to unmute myself. See, I'm not.
Oh, okay.
Oh,
So
okay.
anyway,
Well,
Did you say CML or CLL?
CML.
That's what I
He
thought.
says
myeloid.
that he's got. And
Jim, I just read an article that they have done a lot of research into this, and they have found that very, very, very many younger people are now getting cancer.
Yes.
Yeah, they are.
Yes,
And I
but
can see it also in CLL, in my group,
not
the age is
CLL.
going down.
CML.
I know, but in
Oh,
CLL, we have the same
right.
development, that younger ones get CLL, not only over 60 or 70, like before.
Well, I was diagnosed younger than that.
Oh, yes?
And we see many, right, Barbell, we see more and more people who are younger, but CML, I was familiar with chronic myeloid.
Yeah, but it's a chronic disease. And actually our myeloid cells are also impaired when we have CLL.
So did he say how he contracted it? Does they know? I mean, was it environmentally?
He doesn't know, and I didn't really have time to talk to him because he was wrapping up to go back to jump on the bus to head back over to wherever he is staying. I think over at the Bowling Air Force Base has, I believe, a Navy uh, contingent over there, but he is. But I was just curious, just in case I happen to bump into him again over there, which
Invite
is
him over to our
well,
group.
I did. I did. I did. I did explain about the group. I gave him my card. I said, please, please, please. And how about to contact me? But he hasn't so far. But if he does, yeah, I would. Yeah, join us. The more, the merrier.
So I don't know if any of you, if what Leslie was speaking about was the American Cancer Society study that came out a couple of weeks ago that did say that, in fact, cancer is on the rise.
Yeah.
But it's for the first time since they've been studying it, the numbers of women have surpassed men, and
Yep.
it's on the rise for women under 65. And they listed, breast cancer and colorectal, but also the good news is in others. But the good news is people are surviving cancer more.
Mm-hmm.
So that particular part is good. The other is not. And Leslie, is that what you were talking about? Or was it a different study that you were reading about?
I did put a link on the messages, the chat. It's the Yale Medicine did an article about it.
Oh, so they did one too.
Yeah.
Keep hearing about it too. Sally just wrote, I don't know if you saw, I had a problem getting in myself, and that it kept taking me to different screens I had never been on before for go to. I don't know. Did anyone else? It was like really strange, and it just kept bringing me. You did too. It kept going to the different screen after different screen. Yeah, it was very. It brought me here eventually. I was patient. At first, I wasn't, and then I was. Lou, that happened. Lou, it happen to you? Anybody else?
Yeah, like 2 extra screens that I had not seen before.
Huh.
Very
I
strange.
just went in through my email.
Yeah, me too.
But I think someone said last time they may have had something similar happen. I don't know. So you're troubleshooting Alexa with Sally?
I'm looking
Okay.
to see what's going on. But Jim, CML unfortunately is common in young adults. I did a lot of like AYA, adolescent young adult advocacy before I came to AnCan. Young adult cancer is on the rise, and unfortunately CML. So it's not that uncommon. So that's my take on it. All right, Michelle.
Wait. Question, just out of curiosity, is it considered to be chronic? In other words, once you have it, you're going to have it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Which means that in the VA world, he would be rated at the time he got out to be 100% permanent
Yes.
in total.
Yes.
Okay,
Absolutely.
great. Okay. I think.
Poor guy. I don't know about the treatment for that. I have never covered CML, interestingly enough. So I'm sorry to disappoint you, Jim. But it is about 8,900 people get it or diagnosed with it in the U.S. every year. So not as many as CLL.
It's a rare.
But
rare.
you don't know if the numbers are correct. Sometimes these are old numbers.
True.
And sometimes
And I
it
don't
gets
think
misdiagnosed.
not everybody's registered either.
So I will study up on it. that's something
Thanks,
to study.
Jim.
Yeah,
Mhm.
thank you, Jim, for inviting him. That hold on, is it considered terminal?
I
No.
don't think so. No.
So anyway, Jim, thank you. And your sister, so was it a secondary cancer, or is it possible to metastasize across the blood-brain barrier?
Michelle, can we ask everyone else if they need time first, and we can get back to Jim?
Great. If you
Thank you.
Leslie, I know you were going, did your doctor, any luck with your doctor? Oh boy.
See him Thursday and Friday. I go back in for PET scan and bone marrow again. And then they decide what they're going to do with my treatments from there.
I sent a very preliminary, cautious email, as I had said I would, but I didn't really give much. And I got back a question mark.
That's okay. It's
But
okay.
I know you don't want me to use your name, but can I use your doctor's name? This is being recorded, so just,
Yeah, we plan on moving next year, so I'm just gonna play their dumb game and I'm trying to fight it. I got better things in my life to do than have to deal with it. So it took them 3 days to get back to me this time about stopping my medicine with antibiotic, and the messages I was getting from the nurse were all kinds of confusing. And I finally just called and they said, well, did you send a message? I said, yeah, I've sent many messages. Okay, well, we'll just have her call you. And so she called me the next day and I told her, your message was very confusing. I don't understand it. What am I supposed to do? And she just said, okay, well, you need to stop the Calquence unless you're not having an issue since you've been taking the antibiotic for 3 days. If you're not having an issue, go ahead and continue the Calquence. But I had to stop it anyway because 7 days prior to the bone marrow biopsy, they want you to stop it. So it's like it was futile that I even contacted them. I should have just done what I knew was going to happen and not try to make sure that the doctor was aware of what I was doing. But it's kind of a iffy thing. So it is what it is. You just
or do you know where you're moving yet?
probably up by Idaho.
Oh darn! I was hoping you were coming to Boston.
Oh yeah. Please come to Boston in the springtime. No, Idaho. You guys are too crazy over there.
Idaho.
It's crazy to live in Boston.
I have to think about Idaho and a specialist for you.
Yeah, I get a
Almost have to go to Washington.
What's that, Judy?
Washington State to the Willamette Center.
Where's that one at?
That's where there's a CLL. I don't know about yours, but there's a CLL doctor in the Seattle area. I think he's at the Willamette.
Seattle
Dr. Jeff Charman.
Right.
Yep, he's awesome. But there's a
clinic in Seattle.
There's quite a few. There's the Fred Hutchinson.
That's the one I know of, yeah.
And also Dr. Sherman would maybe also have some. But I guess it all depends where in Idaho, really, if that's going to be. How far would actually? It sounds like it would be far, but maybe not.
Seattle's going to be probably a quick plane ride because it's over by Spokane. So it would have to be, or Salt Lake City. It just depends on where I can find an MCL specialist. And then we'll decide from there what area we're going to move to.
Leslie, I invited someone who's very active in the MCL community to join us tonight, but I'm unsure if he is or not. But I'm going to introduce the two of you anyway, offline. So,
okay.
Anyway, I was hoping he'd be here. he wasn't sure if he could make it. So he may.
So, Leslie, do you need any time tonight?
No, not really.
Okay.
Just to answer questions that people might ask.
Well, we love having you. You're wonderful. So you're great.
Thank you.
And
Judy,
then
I was just going to say, Judy, do you need time tonight?
Just a very short time.
Okay. Lou? Lou, do you need time this evening?
Just a little.
Mary?
I would, Lou, I would love if you would explain kind of what you explained to me, just for the recording, if that's okay.
Okay.
Thank you. Would appreciate that.
Mary?
No, I don't need any time.
Okay. Well, we'll ask you for a quick update on you anyway. Lynn?
2 minutes.
We're going to keep you.
We'll time you.
Exactly.
Use that. What's that? The egg timer you turn over? 3-minute egg timer.
Jim, do you need more time?
Yeah. Yes.
Okay.
There was a quick thing, a question about my sister I can answer.
Okay. Hi, Rick. Do you need any time this evening? Do you have any announcements?
No, I'm good. Just more than to say hello to everybody, and I don't see Sally, but she did send around a lovely picture today.
Sally is having some technical problems that I'm trying to work through with her.
Oh, Sally's trying to. Well, she sent out her somebody who is has a small nonprofit in Indianapolis, paints pictures of people who are deceased, recently deceased, for their loved ones. And
Oh,
we sent a photograph of Al, and that painting is on its way to Barbie today. And she sent us a copy of the picture, and it was really lovely. And I forwarded it to Luis and to my buddy Dave. It's really nice picture, don't you think, Alexa and Michelle?
I did not see it. Now I have to go back. Email? Did she email?
Yes.
She emailed it midday, I think.
I saw it this afternoon. It's a nice picture.
Let's see. I'll tell you when she emailed it.
And also, Rick, you're fitting in with the Valentine's theme with your shirt. You're matching Leslie and Michelle. You were on brand tonight.
Now, let me just see. When did
Wow, I see it. Wow.
Oh, now you see it.
It's very lifelike.
It's good, isn't it?
It is.
Yeah,
Wow.
it's really nice. Anyway, I just wanted to stop by before I go over to a meeting that I need, which is the Men Speaking Freely. Oh, wow. Yeah, look, there you go. Very nice.
I don't know if you can all see it or not. There we go.
Yeah, we can see it. Yeah, very, very nice.
Nice picture.
That's beautiful.
Okay. No, nothing other than to thank everybody who made a donation, and we've wrapped that up. We've wrapped our survey up with 461 responses, which is fantastic. We're very happy, and we'll report out in the reminders about the annual the annual appeal. We're just running numbers on that right now, but appreciate all the money that has come in. And there were, I could actually tell you there were, hold on a minute, let me pull it up here. I'll tell you how many donations there were from yes, it's this one that I want. We had how many donations from this group? I think it's that one. Yeah, we had 8 donations from 165 people, so it wasn't great from the blood cancers, but whoever donated, thank you. We appreciate it. So, yeah, 8 donations from 165 in the group. Anyway, that's it. That's where we are.
Well, thank you for sharing. Have I asked Barbell? You probably have something to share.
Yeah, I have a little bit to share.
Wonderful. Okay. So, actually, Lou, I would love to hear what you were saying, or as Alexa had asked, so everyone can understand, and also in the recording, so people can understand. If you can explain the name of your trial and about the harvesting and the programming. Yes.
Yeah.
Thank you.
It's the quintessential CAR T trial, and it is, I think, Juno Celgene, and then it is part of GSK, GlaxoSmithKline. So it's their clinical trial called Quintessential. But I had my cells harvested January 8th, and I'm in the waiting mode right now. They said it takes 4 to 6 weeks to get your cells reprogrammed in the lab. And the lab is in New Jersey. My sister last year moved to New Jersey, so I told her to take care of my cells there. But I don't know when they'll get back, but the process was a little bit more involved than I've had 2 other CAR Ts. This is the 3rd CAR T, and each one is different. The first one was, your typical CAR T. The second one was allo, and that was over a year and a half ago. And that was someone else's T cells. And then this time it's addressing a different target on the outside of the myeloma cell. Typically, a lot of the treatments will go after BCMA. This one goes after GPRC5D, and that's a different target on the outside of the cell. So they're thinking, my medical team at University of Kansas feels that we've gone after the BCMA target with several of the treatments that I've had, and maybe doing GPRC5D target might be the ticket. So all we can do is be hopeful. And I've been doing this for 11 and a half years. So I was open to trying, anything, because after a while, the list of what you haven't tried gets smaller and smaller. So, trying these clinical trials, this is number 5 clinical trial for me. So I'm starting to feel that, it's something I kind of get familiar with and know the routine of what the expectations are, and the tests and the appointments, the extra appointments, things like that. But as far as the difference in this CAR T so far is, I was hooked up to an apheresis machine, which is, if you're not familiar with that, it looks like dialysis type machine. And I had one in one arm, one hook up in one arm, and the other hooked up in another arm. And so they took my cells out, and then they put back, what is not used, which is what is not T cells, and filter it. So, and then they shipped it off to New Jersey. But it was a 5-hour process. And I think in the past, it's taken maybe 2 or 3 hours at the most. I don't know if the machine was just slower this time. I'm not really sure what the situation was with it. But I couldn't move. In the past, when I've done the apheresis and CAR T, I mean, I could move around, I had to stay in the seat, but I could move my arms, and get my Kindle and a drink or whatever I needed. But I had to have the arm that blood was being pulled out of. I had to have that arm perfectly still. It could not move for those 5 hours. And I had a rubber ball they gave me. I had to keep squeezing on the rubber ball because an alarm would go off. Because if it didn't go fast enough or something, the alarm would go off. It was not a fun experience this time. So anyway,
So, Lou, we deal quite a bit with apheresis because there's a particular treatment called Prevalence that uses it, and it's only 3 hours most of the time for those guys, 3 to 4, but they cannot move.
Yeah.
I've heard them say the same thing, so I know it's really uncomfortable.
Yeah.
We get it.
I was glad to have it over.
Yeah.
But now I'm in just the waiting stage. But the quirky thing that I was getting ready to tell Alexa earlier about, the quirky thing is the clinical trial coordinator came in during my apheresis process, and she said my kappa numbers have to be at 10 before I can get my cells back. So even if they come back next week or the next week, if my kappa number is not 10, I can't get those cells back. They have to hold them until I have a number 10 in my kappa, which is, it's a little unnerving, but I've been doing labs every other week, and I have to do a bridging therapy, which it's required as part of the clinical trials. So my doctor prescribed the lowest he could do because my numbers weren't super high. So he didn't want to, have it go below 10, but it did. Even with 3 little dexamethasone steroid pills, my number went down to 4 on the kappa.
Wow.
And then it is this last week without the steroid, because he took me off of it immediately when he saw that number. He it was 7.13. So it is rising, and I have labs on Tuesday, so we'll see how things go. So that's kind of in a nutshell what's
I have
going
a
on.
question, Lou. Do you have lambda light chains? Are they in normal range or what? Or just the kappa is low?
I have IgG kappa is the type of myeloma I have, and my IgG is elevated. It's not what my doctor is watching as much as the kappa. And in this particular trial, you have to have 10 qualified to begin with. So I did, I got, mine was 13 something. And so when I signed papers, it was 13. But right now, it's 7 something. So we'll see Tuesday. Hopefully, this is it's such a catch-22. Nobody wants to have more cancer cells, but if I don't have more myeloma cells, I can't get my T cells, reprogrammed T cells back. So it's kind of a catch-22. So that part of it is a little unnerving. And I had nightmares the other night. And
Oh, no.
my husband, who is his background is psychology counseling, and he said it's, even though you don't show it during the day, it's inside your head. You're worried, you're
Of
stressed.
course it is.
So
You don't
Miss
have enough. I
Lou,
have too
Miss
many.
Lou, we gotta get you to Women Speaking Freely. You better join that women's bit. When's the next one, Alexa?
The next one is the 17th.
I saw one of the Facebook things for it, and I thought I probably need to go to that.
You do need to
Yes.
go, yes. And hello,
Yes.
Shelby.
You're having a writing class too.
Yes,
Yes,
we are.
very
Yes.
interesting. That's wonderful, that writing class. I'm going to sign up for that. I
Michelle
like
is doing
Yes.
that too.
Speaking freely now.
Oh,
because
we got a new
I'm
puppy.
Yes,
Oh, we didn't
Michelle.
know
Oh my
about that.
gosh.
Oh, is
We're,
that a cute puppy?
we're, we're keeping her awake, I guess. She was sleeping.
Oh,
But
it's a Gabby lookalike.
it is, the Colonel likes his brunettes, he said.
I see. And what is the name of the new pup?
Shelby.
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 Okay.
She can be your mascot. Hi.
Oh no,
Yeah.
hey, we'll have to talk to Andrew about that.
Oh, his dogs are really big
Yes,
now.
the hiccups.
Lou,
So,
I have a question for you. You've been
yeah.
through the CAR T 2 times already, so this is a third time. Do would do you the process the day you get infused and the days after, um, was that a rocky experience in the other two, or what are you
Uh, the,
expecting?
yeah, the first one wasn't so much. Side effects weren't, unexpected. Your typical, where you feel a little bit lethargic, tired, and sleep, a lot.
No.
Similar when I had stem cell transplant, that was an experience. I mean, that was rough. Um, I mean, when you find out that they say, well, we try to get you down as low as we can without you dying, that process is not
Mm.
fun. So that was the stem cell transplant. The first CAR T was not that bad. I was up and around and doing things, within 3, 4 days, felt pretty good. The second CAR T was allo, and that was someone else's cells, and that was not as fun. I had to go back in the hospital after that week that I was in because my hand swelled up like double, and my knee swelled up, and I had a fever, so I had to go back in the hospital for another week. And they said it was pseudo gout, but I think it was graft versus host. So, it was someone else's cells. And they said
Yeah.
2 to 3% of the people have graft versus host with that particular allo CAR T. And I guess I was lucky.
Very good. My only exposure to CAR T is reading Dr. Brian Kaufman's blog and what he said about it.
Yeah. It's, I'm hoping this one will be more like my first one.
Yeah.
It'll be my own cells, so that's a good thing.
I say that Brian Kaufman's is the only. There's a lady from Australia, and her name is Deborah. She is in the same occupation that Michelle was in media, and she had a CAR T about the same time that Brian did, but she hadn't posted anything lately, so I don't know how she's doing.
Yeah. Well, hopefully good. the
Yes.
the quirky thing about this particular quintessential GPRC5D target for that trial is side effects are harsh. Um, a person I talked to who had it last October at City of Hope, he said his fingernails and toenails turned blue and fell off,
Oh,
and he lost his taste for 6 months,
Wow.
and had some issues inside his mouth, but they had a rinse, for that. I can't remember. It seems like there was one other side effect that he had that was difficult to deal with, and fatigue. And he was in the hospital. He said from October to December or January, he was in the hospital for 4, I think, different times. He said.
Mm.
So when I start this, it's not going to be easy. It's going to be probably challenging. But you know what? You do what you have to do,
Yeah.
and I've kind of exhausted the BCMA kind of things. So this is what my doctor thinks will be, the best way to go.
So you may join us from the hospital next time.
Yes.
I have a question for you, Lou, also. How many people are ahead of you on the trial?
Well, it's across the nation. And when I first read about it on clinicaltrials.gov, it looked like at first there were 150, 145 people across the country at not every, hospital, obviously, cancer center offers it, but at our facility, Cancer Center at University of Kansas Cancer Center, I'm number 3 in the process of those who are going through it at KU. So anyway, I do know someone who's going through it who is 2 weeks behind me. She gave her cells January 22nd, and she's at Siteman in St. Louis. And she has been told she'll get her cells back the end of February and will be going in the hospital the 1st of March. And I had my cells harvested about a week and a half earlier than she did. My clinical coordinator has not told me when they'll be back.
Does everyone go through what that gentleman at City of Hope goes through? Or do you know?
I'm not sure what you mean.
So you said he went through a rough time and he had been in the hospital multiple times.
Right.
Is that par for the course, or is that unusual?
I think it's par for the course. There are occasionally, I'm in blogs with Dana Holmes, if anybody is familiar with Dana Holmes, she has CAR T blog, myeloma blog for patients, and she's very knowledgeable and has a lot of doctors on the blog as well. From what I'm reading, the harsh kind of things, the fingernails, the loss of taste, are typical. So anyway,
I think with Brian Kaufman, the side effect was the loss of mental capability. There was confusion.
oh really?
So forth. Yeah, I think that was for. And I
That was
have to read the blog to know how long it was, but I don't think it's more than. Judy, do you remember anything about it?
I think it was a couple of weeks or 3 that he had a really tough time with that, because
Wow.
his wife was writing the blog during that time.
Right.
Okay, I'll find the blog and put the link in the
Oh,
in the
okay.
chat.
Thanks. I appreciate it.
I just had a friend that did the myeloma at CAR T at MD Anderson, but he didn't last very long on it, and now they're giving him some kind of injection that he's taking.
Maybe a bispecific.
Yeah, I think it's a bispecific.
Yeah, Taquitamab and
Yeah, I think,
are a couple.
I think that's what he's getting.
Yeah.
He's responding well to those.
Yeah.
Just so I can post in the chat if people are interested. I can't find it. But I thank you so much. And thank you, Michelle. Thank you so much for staying. If you feel well, please rest.
Can I tell her something real quick before
Absolutely.
she
Go ahead, Judy.
Okay, Michelle, the last time or so we talked about taking reclass, and I
Yeah.
did get mine last week. I did have a reaction about 12 hours after I had it. All it was a fever that lasted 24 hours.
Yeah, mine hit about then as well, when I started feeling not well.
Yeah.
After the reclass, which and I also had, I'm trying to remember, you know how we forget, selective memory, right? I believe I had joint pain.
Yes, I had joint pain, and I took Claritin because that's what they would give us, with Neupogen when I had joint pain. I took Claritin, and that helped.
I'm sorry, that was not me making those noises.
We know. We know.
She makes sounds like a little baby. But Judy, thank you for sharing that. I'm sorry you went through that too. If only they would suggest things. I take Claritin every day thanks to Sally.
I did too.
So, yeah, I wonder if it would work better for those times when we get it badly. But Leslie had said it didn't work for her. Oh,
well, I took 2 that day because I knew bone pain. I'd had bone pain, like with Neupogen and those kind of injections they suggested. So I thought, hey, it can't hurt. So took 2, and it seemed to work.
I think I did that too that day.
One in the morning, one at night. Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, that's good to know. Well, thank you all.
Thank you, Michelle.
Can you
put that precious puppy to sleep?
She never goes to sleep, trust me.
Oh.
Only for a few hours, but maybe now from all this excitement. If I leave, will it still
Yes, just don't end for all, just you leave.
Okay. That's what I'm doing. Thank you.
Bye, Michelle.
See you in a month.
Jim, I know you had another question, so go ahead.
No, it wasn't a question. Somebody
it was an update.
asked a question about multiple myeloma in the brain. How does it arrive there? And I talked to Sally, and she said it will travel up the spine into the brain. So I was curious about that because I had, how does it get across the blood-brain barrier? Well, it sneaks in the back door, I guess. So
CLL does the same thing.
Yep.
It does? Oh, okay. So we'll see what happens with her, and she's home, and hopefully try to resume a somewhat normal life. Now, I don't know if it's persistent up there or they happen to get it all, or how, if it's in the brain, is it always there, or have no idea.
Did she have surgery on the brain?
Yes. And it was a pretty good chunk that got taken out. Wow. I understand it was about 3 inches long or something like that.
Wow.
And it grew quick because in the time that she started to having speech problems, and where the words would just be, jumbled, and she couldn't figure it out. And about 4 days later, she could not walk. And then they went off to the hospital on a Friday, and they operated her on a Tuesday.
Well, thanks for that update. We want to keep getting those updates. So we appreciate that. Was there anything else, Jim? No. Okay. Judy, you needed time, right?
Well, the main thing I was going to tell about the reclass,
okay.
But the last blood work I've had was good. Somebody was talking about being, oh, I think it was Leslie, being off your medication when you're taking an antibiotic. And that's pretty much must be the rule of thumb, because that's what Dr. Awan always tells me. When I start an antibiotic, then I stop my pirtobrutinib. I think that's just kind of a thing. They don't want any, cross things going on.
Yeah, I wonder if it's because you've got one fighting and maybe you're going to have issues with them both fighting each other.
I've always had, no matter what I was on, if I was on a antibiotic, then they would tell me to stop what I was taking.
But what's interesting about that is that I called the specialty pharmacy and they said absolutely not. There's no interaction whatsoever with those two drugs. You should be fine. So
Yeah.
it's like, wow.
Well, the
doctor says.
The last time I did, I forgot when I got an antibiotic about 3 weeks ago, and he forgot to tell me that, and I thought I did take it a couple of days at the same, and then I went back and said, oh, I think you usually want me to stop this, and he confirmed that for me. Yes, he did. So
yeah.
So I want to ask the group about this then. How many of you have been in this situation? And do you tend to lean towards trusting your doctor, your oncologist, or the pharmacy team?
I trust the pharmacy until the doctor tells me otherwise.
I usually go with the oncologist.
Yeah, but they don't know everything all the time. That's the problem. I think a pharmacist is more specialist.
Anybody else?
It depends on the pharmacist.
Yeah.
What about you, Lou?
Oh, you're muted.
You're muted.
Yeah, she's coming. She's coming.
I realized. I never meet with the pharmacy team separate. There's a PharmD who comes in when my myeloma specialist is visiting with me about starting a new treatment or any complications or making a change. He always has a PharmD come in and be there to answer questions and to give his input at the same time in front of the specialist, myeloma specialist. So it's like they're a team and they work together and they know each other, really well. And I never ever have a pharmacy, doctor, PharmD, whatever, off to the side talking to me that it's not in front of my myeloma specialist. So.
And with mine, I don't know what to do and I can't get them to contact me. What do? The best thing I can do is ask the pharmacist. My specialty pharmacy does Onco 360. They want to know every medicine that I'm prescribed because they check those for me to make sure. And I've had doctors tell me before, oh, I didn't realize that. It wasn't the oncologist, but it was a different doctor. And I told them I can't take these medicines together. And they said, oh, I didn't realize that. Let me check. Oh, yeah, you're right. You can't take those medicines together.
Leslie, are you going to MD Anderson?
I'm sorry?
Are you going to MD Anderson?
Yes, I am.
Interesting.
Yep, exactly.
Well, thank you, Judy. Was there anything else?
No, that's it.
Okay. And then we have, oh, go ahead.
I said I've just been doing well. So.
Oh, that's great news. That's what we want to hear. That is absolutely what we want to hear. I am now going to go to Ms. Continental Europe. Barbell.
Okay. Well, then I'll start. As you know, I started with venetoclax, and when I was down to less than 5% in the bone marrow, there was no advancement anymore. And another clone showed up. and I started having Waldenström, and I had very high kappa light chains. I think 83 normally is 30, and they were really worried. So they changed my medication. They took me off the venetoclax for 11 days or so, and then I got Brukinsa, which I'm taking now. And I think it's working, but it's not perfect yet. I have to go back on the 17th of February, earlier than normally. Normally it would be every 3 months in April, but they said because it was lower, but it was still too high, that I have to come in earlier. I'm feeling all right, but I have problems with my ear, and I had some side effects from Brukinsa, but the Brukinsa side effects, different from ibrutinib, which I also took one time, started way earlier. I had lots of nosebleeds, which I don't have anymore. Then I still have joint aches and muscle aches a little bit, but well, it's not quite as bad. I mean, but I had a higher tumor burden when I had ibrutinib. Maybe that's also a reason. So I'm okay. I just cannot move too much anymore because of those joints. They really bug me, and so I'm a bit impaired with walking. I can walk, but there's certain things I can't do. I can't kneel down. I can't walk the steps yet, but I'm working on it. So I hope I'll get it done. Well, see, I had a doctor comes to my house and does blood checks in between, and she came 2 days ago, and I get some results tomorrow. But my blood work is not that bad. I mean, the hemoglobin was 5, now it's 8.5, so it's going up. And they think that Waldenström clone actually hindered the progress of the CLL. And the drug I'm taking now works for both diseases. So, well, but I was a bit worried because it's all these kappa light chains, but I don't have, uh, I have a lot, I have too many. So it's the other way around. I don't know, is there a risk that it develops into multiple myeloma? What do you think, Lou?
I know that there could be secondary cancers with any treatment that you take. So I know for myeloma, that's the case. Like I can develop, you know, leukemia,
Yeah, but
from,
my plasma cells too, which don't
yeah,
work right. That's why I was thinking that.
yeah. Well, I would think I'm not as familiar, with treatments for
When
leukemias.
you get diagnosed with multiple myeloma, you had the kappa chains that were lower and the lambda chains were too high, or what?
Yeah, um, when I was diagnosed, um,
Mm-hmm.
it was because of, at the time, they were looking at bone marrow biopsy results, the protein in your
Well, it grows in the bone marrow, just
yeah.
like the CLL. That's the
Oh, yeah,
problem.
that's where it develops typically for myeloma patients. Mine was, when I was diagnosed, was 67% of my bone marrow was myeloma cells.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm guessing, I don't know. I would think the medications and treatments that you guys go through could cause other cancers to develop as well.
I do know that you can develop myeloma from CLL.
Well, like you can get everything. AML, something it depends on the clone that you're getting. And I think, when you kill the CLL cells, they're kind of weak. I mean, mine not, but usually they're not very stable. They die fast, but there are other clones which are a lot stronger, and they will survive. It's like a clonal selection then, and I think this is what happened. It's a clonal selection, and now this Waldenström clone showed up, but I don't want it.
Yeah.
But at least it was an explanation that I wasn't feeling that great anymore. I was in rehab, and I was really doing fine. I was 6 weeks, and 4 weeks, everything went fine. I did everything. I walked around. I did exercises, everything. And then I started kind of getting a little weaker. And I thought, oh, perhaps it's too much. Maybe I'm too old to do so much. But that wasn't the case. It's not the age. It was that clone that bugged me. And well, actually, it was the doctor who comes to my house. She said she will not take responsibility. I should ask in the clinic, and I did. I wrote them and I sent them the report, and they wrote back immediately. I should come in either tomorrow or the week after, because the holidays were coming and it needed to be checked before. So when I went in there, I thought, oh, well, it's a checkup and I go home again. But no, they sent me to the ER.
Mm-hmm.
But then I stayed in the hospital again for 3 weeks. So I think I spent most of the year in hospitals and in rehab last year. So I hope that is it now.
Barbell, do you take Bruinska once a day or twice a day?
Twice a day. You can do it all at once.
Yeah, I saw that.
I think even in the schedule it says you to take it like always one every 4 hours or something like that. You can also take it like that, but or every 8 hours, something like this. But that's too difficult. And now they said I should take it twice a day, in the morning 160 and in the evening 160, but there must be 12 hours in between the intake, and that's what I do. But
Do you take it with grapefruit juice?
Well, you're supposed to drink it with water, but I take sometimes tea. I can't see water anymore. I've been drinking so much water, and with the infusions, they always give you water too. You're constantly running to the toilet. This is terrible. Actually, I think I had 5 or 6 liters of liquid a day. That was kind of bad, but it's down to a bit more normal because I'm at home, so it's a bit easier.
Well, it might be the drug I'm on when I restart, whenever that's going to be.
Well, they said they suggested it, but I know it works for Waldenström, but well, I read also the BTK degraders are also pretty good. There was a report today. It's still a little while because they're still working on dosing and everything. They have a lot of questions still. But, well, I'm kind of curious because my clones are very strong. They divide very fast. But normally in CLL, that's not the case. They are slow growing. And it might work for them, but I'm not sure if it would work for me. Yeah. We'll see. But, well, I have some other issues that I'm thinking about. How long can I take it until a mutation occurs and these kind of things? The median intake is 25 months. So, well, they say they are mutations. And it's not, from what I read, it said something like there is another mutation occurring with Brukinsa than with the other BTKIs. And I really want to avoid that. But how I can do this, I'm still investigating it. But I always do that beforehand, before something happens.
Thanks,
Okay,
Barbell. Thank you, Barbell. Lynn, how about you? And I'll time it 2 minutes.
Okay. I have had the issue that my insurance no longer, my doctor's no longer in network with Aetna, and so I've got to change. Today we went to the library. I was going to call some people, find myself a quiet spot. I walked in, and there was a class going on in the classroom. I was thinking about going in the library classroom. The class was Medicare class. So I just camped out in there and sat in on the Medicare class. And the lady that was teaching the class said that she can help me make the transition to a different Medicare Advantage plan. So I've had But she said, I can't do it in this setting because I'm teaching a class and Medicare prohibits me from making appointments while I'm here. But I called her office and I've got an appointment next Wednesday to go
Right.
and get it started on that. But otherwise, I'm doing fine. How much time did that take?
No, is that easy to change insurances?
Is that
I
easy
think
to
it's a
change?
bit of a problem because you're already taking you don't take medication, but you have an incurable disease.
Oh, yeah, I've got a lot of medications. Check back with me next month. I'll tell you what
Okay.
what has happened.
Well, I'm fighting with the insurances also. It's the same thing everywhere, I guess.
I did want to share one other thing, Alexa. Since he was on insurance, I got the last of January, got my pertubrutinib, which is like now says $20,000, and it's now we have the $2,000 out of pocket deal, which that took care of all of it. I paid $48 with my insurance, but I picked up 8 prescriptions a couple of days ago and paid 0. So the rest of the year, I'm at 0 for all my medications.
Wow.
And I paid $48 is all I'm paying this year. So
That's
Great.
amazing.
good
I think
news.
the problem is that many people don't know how to do it. I mean, you are all educated and it's easy for you. But I think for people who don't have that knowledge, it's quite difficult. I read a post on CLL support explaining the Medicare. Oh my goodness! You need a college degree to understand it.
Well, I think that one thing that when we were still working, our employers, I was in a large company in the human resources department. They did the legwork and they advised us and so forth, and they arranged for us to have good insurance. But then it was kind of like when we retired, we were just kind of pushed out. Where do we do? Who do we ask? What. So it all falls on you completely. So. It was not. It was nice today to be able to sit in this class and there are people you can talk to that are helpful. And I went to my car insurance, home insurance agent, and I said, "Who do I go to? Is there a Medicare type advisor in town?" And they did not know, but apparently there are, and this does not cost the person that has the insurance because and whatever company I change to, they will pay her for the service she provided to me.
And those people don't represent one company.
Yeah,
They explore.
independent.
Yeah, they're independent of it.
Can I just share that I think, Lynn, you mentioned yours was an Advantage plan. Is that
Yes.
correct? We had in our support group in Kansas City a couple of years ago, there's a gentleman who's in our support group who has myeloma, and he is one of those Medicare resource people, yeah, who can answer questions and help people select what they need to do, independent, in other words. And he told us in the support group, and he's spoken twice, I think, in the past 4 or 5 years. But he told us if you have a catastrophic disease like myeloma, and I'm sure that would apply for leukemia, if you have a catastrophic disease that has very, very expensive drugs and treatments, and you might have to go to a doctor who is a specialist for your particular disease, like myeloma or leukemia, that it might not be in your network if you're an Advantage person, have gone with the Advantage.
Mm-hmm.
Like a person who has been diagnosed with myeloma, and when I was first diagnosed, David, my husband, said, we don't have to go here at KU. We could go to the Mayo Clinic. We could go to MD Anderson, wherever, one of the top myeloma hospital cancer centers. And we had Blue Cross Blue Shield. We were both teachers, we retired, and they allow you to keep your Blue Cross Blue Shield, or David's school district did. So we were able to continue with that. When I had my stem cell transplant, I was billed zero. Blue Cross Blue Shield paid for everything. When I had my CAR T, the first one was a stem cell transplant, or I'm sorry, CAR T that was a clinical trial. So they paid for everything except for your regular checkups and regular things. And Blue Cross Blue Shield paid for everything. The gentleman that spoke to our group, who was an advisor for Medicare and insurances, he said he would not advise a person who has a catastrophic disease to get an Advantage plan. And it was for the two reasons. Not being able sometimes to get the medication you need because it's expensive, or choose a doctor or a cancer center that you need to go to for your particular type. So I don't know. I've not had Advantage, and I've not had an issue, of course, with Blue Cross Blue Shield. Everyone that I have ever seen is in network, but it's something to consider.
There are different levels, evidently, of them. Like I have an Advantage plan, but it's through the retired teachers, and they tell me that it's an Advantage plan that's not like the ones that are being sold. So, and I have great coverage.
So my coverage is a PPO as opposed to a network. It's Blue Cross Blue Shield Advantage. But what I like about that is you have an out-of-pocket maximum. You're going to get that line and you don't have to pay any more. But like with straight Medicare, you could go on and pay forever. But Judy, I didn't understand with the $2,000 maximum. How can you pay just $48?
Well, because of my teacher retirement, that's my copay is $48. But when you go into looking in what they send to me, then there is so much. Like last year, it took me 3 prescriptions before I got there. I paid $48 3 times because evidently Medicare pays for part of it, and it's considered out of pocket, even though you're not paying that yourself out of pocket. It's kind of whatever their formula they have.
Wow.
Yeah. The other thing to know is if you do have to pay the $2,000 yourself out of pocket, you don't have to pay it all at one time. You can have it spread out over the whole year.
Right. Well, I know in December I got a letter from my insurance saying that they were rearranging all my medications. So from tier 1, where you could get it for $0, a lot of them were going to tier 3 and tier 4. So medication last year I was paying $18 for was now $120. So I see that's how they're going to catch up and get their money.
Well, mine came out, superior. I can't complain.
I believe Jim's got a comment. He's got his hand up.
Oh yeah, a couple of them. Okay, on the drug cost, the $2,000, the way I understand, is not just what you pay. It is the cost of the drug itself that will add up. So if it's a $1,500 drug and you only pay $100, then you have clocked $1,500 against the $2,000 limit. Another thing on the Medicare advantage for me specifically within the prostate cancer. They do not have a specialist in that, and they will not refer me out, and they will not pay for it. So they say, well, you have to use an existing cancer doctor, which is a hematologist, but I have been training her and she's been exceedingly good. But I do have some other alternatives in the VA who will not refer me out of the VA. I got so, but I still got TRICARE, so I'm pursuing that. So yeah, all of these have all these goofy rules.
Yeah,
that
play the game.
It takes a genius to understand all those, and a specialist too. So
kind of like a Pandora's box when we bring up insurance.
Mm-hmm.
You know, it's what I find hard and difficult is, you know, you have people who are sick. I mean, we all have a disease that we're fighting, you know, and sometimes we have the energy to do that, and sometimes it's tough.
Yeah.
And when you have and you're faced with, on top of being sick, having to deal with insurance issues, it's just it just stresses people out. I have seen people who have gotten sick over not being able to afford something or their copays even. And it because I'm a myeloma coach, so I coach for Health Tree, and I mean, they are worried sick. And I had a doctor tell me one time after my stem cell transplant, she said, I needed to de-stress. At the time, my mother had just died after my stem cell transplant. My sister died a week after that, or not a week, a month after that. And so, yes, I was going through some stressful times, and I had had my stem cell transplant in August of that year, and all of this happened in December and January. So my doctor said, you can undo all the good that you did getting a stem cell transplant by being overstressed. And you need to take it, you know, easier on yourself. And I tried to explain to her, of course, through tears, that my mother had just died, my sister had just died. But I mean, it's so hard to keep all this insurance stuff and dealing with the cost of having this disease and maybe another disease that you're dealing with, and then trying to keep the stress level down. I just, you know, even as a coach, a myeloma coach, I'm like, okay, how do I coach these other people to de-stress when they are faced with real, true, difficult experiences?
Yeah, it's easy for an observer to say, chill out.
Yeah.
Well,
I know that,
think,
I was going to say, I know Judy had a similar experience.
I just think it's really hard to think about these people that have no insurance or whatever. They don't know where to go. They don't know what to ask. You know, I just really feel sorry for those kind of people. You know, even they don't even know what resources to go and find. You know, that are available. So.
What I find too is that some still are scared of the treatment because they think, you know, the old chemo, and they don't trust the doctors, and they have a hard time, you know. But at one time they have to go, because if it gets too bad, you have to go to the hospital if you want to or not. But it's more difficult to do a treatment when you have such anxiety.
Well, I know for a simple fact, I have a friend who would have very much benefited from having a port put in, but she would not hear of having it at all. And oh my goodness, trying to have her, they had to come in with an ultra vein finder to you know, to find a vein and things. And I think if you'd had a port put in, you've got one place to stick, and but she would not have any part of having one put in.
Port is not bad. I had one too when I had dialysis.
I've
But,
had one since 2015.
The problem with the veins is in the course of time they become baby veins, and then they cannot find them anymore, and they need an ultrasound to find one, where they can put in a needle.
Yep.
I've had
And I
mine
think
for 8.5 years. So
I've had from
what I find though is that
10 years.
What I find though is that it's getting more difficult with the treatments and getting the meds and getting the insurances to reimburse. I didn't have these problems prior to this therapy. The other two therapies, no problems. But now we are working all three. That is my son, my daughter-in-law, and also me working. The letters didn't get to my doctors, and I tell you, it was just a hassle this time. And I'm not that young anymore. I'm older, so I do feel that it was a lot of stress.
Jim,
and that's why I feel for you, because you have these insurance issues, and that is such a burden, because you need these meds.
Jim, did you want to add something?
I would like to ask a question about port, because probably down the road I will be what kind of restrictions do you have on you at the time you do have the port, as far as exercising going? I ride a bike, love to take hot showers.
Zero.
But do you have to get it cleaned out essentially every once in a while, or?
Well, yeah, they recommend that you have it flushed. And what I do, I have it every month, and I have opted, if you're going to stick me, you're also going to give me a blood test. So I have a blood test every month, which I like, because that kind of keeps me, is something going on? I know it very quickly.
And where by chance do they put this port?
You see right there?
Yep.
Okay.
That's where I had it too.
How do they get to it?
There's a tube that goes up and over my clavicle down to the deal.
Okay, and they stick it through the skin, or is there something external, or what?
When they stick you, they have a needle, and mine's a power port, and it's a triangular shape.
Okay.
And there's like 3 little places, and I can't even count the number of times mine have been stuck. Thousands.
Jim, you want a power port. Believe
me. Power port. All right.
Ask them if it's a power port, and the reason why Judy is correct is that a power port can do things that not just a regular portacath can do. So it is a much better.
Cook my breakfast? No. Like what type of things? Offhand.
So you can get CAT scan, like the contrast fluid in it. You can't in a regular portacath.
They don't want me to do the PET scan stuff in it. They'd rather do that in my vein, because
this is for regular CAT scans.
For regular CAT.
Okay.
Yeah.
Contrast, right.
Yes. And you can do in a power port, when I had mine, they can go a little bit faster than a regular portacath. Okay. And then the other thing is it has 3 little dots that helps the nurse get the needle in more accurately. So the power port is just, be sure you ask them, am I getting a power port? It's just if you're going to have the surgery, if you're going to get a port, that's the port to get.
And someone asked and said, look, the power port or else. I come looking for you.
And the surgery is nothing. They do it under a twilight sedation. I do have a card in my billfold that says I have
Yep.
a power port, and also on my medical bracelet, I also have that I have a port.
Okay.
No bungee jumping.
No,
No bungee jumping after you get a
Oh,
port.
right.
as far as what you can do, I don't know of any restrictions at all.
No. You
There's
can
nothing.
lift weights.
Yeah, there's nothing that has to be, outwardly, like if it was a PIC line or it's nothing like that. It's nothing you have to protect.
Okay. I thank you very much. That
The
sort
only
of
thing I got some advice from a nurse is that
Okay.
typically water, because the thing is, because it's connected to your heart, you do have to be careful for infection. So typically when they access it, you don't want to look at it, so you don't want to breathe, or you need to have a mask on. But
Okay.
I was told by a nurse that it's usually best to wait 24 hours to get it wet after you've had it accessed, just for safety reasons, because water contains a
Okay.
lot of bacteria. And I've kept to that. When I had my port, I waited, and then I didn't have any problems.
I've never
Okay.
had that. Now, the one thing that I do at UT Southwestern, they wear a mask. They
Good.
also, and I wear a mask, and they use sterile gloves. They use, well, I can't remember what the cleaner is that they use, but
Chloroprep.
uh, yeah, it's in a little
tube.
deal. But I will tell you, when I went to UT in Memphis and had it accessed, that their protocol was totally different. And I had to insist that they wear a mask.
Oh, yes.
And they were not going to. And they were also only cleaned it with alcohol.
Oh my gosh.
Yes.
Oh my gosh.
And I asked the doctor about that was a specialist, and he said, well, we haven't had any problems whatsoever. So anyway, I only did that when I was taking care of my dad, like 4 years, when I would go and take it, and I'd have to have a blood test while I was in Memphis doing that. But I did not do it. The other thing that's just changed, because there's a heparin shortage. They used to put heparin in every time. They have stopped doing that, and there's also been some research that showed that that was not necessarily needed. Although when I had my reclass this week, they did put heparin after that. So that was different. So.
Alexa, provided they don't clean it with the alcohol, what do they use? Or
it's chloroprep. You do not want them to clean it
Chloroprep.
with just alcohol. You need to ask for chloroprep. That is what they need to clean it with.
Okay.
It's usually a little wand type thing.
Yes, with a little sponge on it.
With a little sponge on it that they clean it. And there's also a way that they clean going around and out from it too.
Yes, yes. There is, and usually certified oncology nurses are awesome. They know how to do this. They were taught how to do this, and it's usually not a problem. But if they are not using chloroprep, you need to run. You need to pack your bags, and you need to run. Jim, another thing is that for some people, the insertion can be painful because sometimes it can kind of sit on a nerve. You can get cold spray or lidocaine if you find that that's the case. That is really helpful. And
I've also seen it depends on the nurse. I have some nurses that can access it and I never feel it.
I know.
And then others that will do it and I'll go, oh,
I know.
You do this very well.
Some of it is definitely skill and confidence. Some of them can get it right. But yeah, a port was one of the best medical decisions I ever made. And I see so many nods like yes. And as long as you're taking care of it, like they're using the right prep tools and doing that, a port is just a wonderful thing, especially a power port.
Okay. I thank you very much.
Of course.
And I will not get rid of mine unless something goes wrong. And they
Look, they had to pry it from
they'll
me.
another one in if it does.
Mine stopped working. I was upset. And they had to pry it away from me. I remember I had an oncology nurse. She accessed it and she said, "Honey, it's time." And I'm like, no, it's not time. So, yeah, I get it. I think ports are great.
Mine stopped working when I was taking a deal and they put the TP stuff and it finally unclogged, but I have to have it flushed with 2 flushes each time.
Oh, wow. Okay. And
Every
also,
time I always ask for 2 flushes.
Also, Jim, sometimes with the port, you can taste the medication a little bit more. That's like the only a little annoying thing to me is that you like the saline and heparin. If they give you heparin, it's like a taste to it more than if it's a peripheral IV. So that's like the only downside to me.
Yeah.
Did
Well,
anybody? Oh, go ahead, Lynn.
Have we heard from everybody?
Yeah, Mary, did you change your mind? Did you need some time tonight?
No, my myeloma's doing really well, and I've just got all these other problems to deal with. So
they just keep on coming, you know.
They
That's
do.
life.
It's not fair.
It is not, believe me.
Being old is for the faint of heart.
No. Did anybody else want to add something or share something before we go for this month?
When you take Brukinsa, your hair gets thinner.
Wow.
Yeah, it's just really thin now. It comes back, I mean, but, well, I always had thick hair, but now it's kind of thin.
I lost all my hair with treatment and then it came back very thin.
Well, if you have chemo, yes, but that is Brukinsa is a BTK inhibitor.
Yeah.
And I looked it up. It can be one of the side effects. In fact, I have one patient who took acalabrutinib, but she has a strange marker, BCR3, and all her hair got out. She's wearing a wig. I don't know what's happening there. I don't think it's a drug. It's probably some T cells that are attacking the roots of the hair or something like that.
I lost mine twice. I was bald as a billiard ball.
Yeah, but you look beautiful now.
Twice.
Well,
Yeah.
mine usually comes back too because in the other treatments it also got thinner, but this time it's really, really thin.
Some of those treatments, are harsh, I think, on your
hair,
your follicle. Yeah.
That and fingernails.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, the fingernails still okay. But the hair, I wish I could use some more.
Can I just say one thing? I last year was asked to be a part of a project at the University of Kansas Cancer Center called the Wall of Hope. And I know we were talking about how stressful things can be and how, it's good to hear a good story and hear someone who's gone through, a tough time and come out the other side. If you go to the University of Kansas, their website, and type in Wall of Hope, you can go to this installation that they put in it's next to a waiting room. It's a resource center, and it's got 10 of us pictured on the Wall of Hope. And with your phone, you can, click into the QR code and you can hear each person's story. And they had us come and do a photo shoot at a regular, studio. And they interviewed us and did a photo shoot and a video shoot and put our picture up. And it reminded me when Barbell was talking about hair and thinning, I had gone through that aloe, the October before, and I was pretty thin. I just had a few hairs on my head, and you could tell. I mean, it was really thin. I was almost balding. But anyway, I hesitated. I thought about, should I wear? Oh, you found it. There I am in my jean jacket. But if you can't each person, and there is a leukemia patient on there, and I believe Paul is the leukemia patient. I can't really see. He's the one, yeah, Paul at the bottom in the middle. He, I think, is leukemia, but I'm
It's
not.
lung and prostate.
Oh, okay, I'm wrong. But there is a patient on here that is a leukemia patient as well.
Chris is.
Yes, yes. So you can listen to his story if you know what he's gone through. And I listened to all of them, and it really is very, very uplifting. So if you need to have to hear an uplifting story, I think it's.
I'm Chris Lecker, and I have acute leukemia.
I thought it was interesting. I don't know if anybody watched the thing on the what's the commentator whose twin daughter has brain cancer that was on ABC last night. Was very, very inspiring too. She's gone back to college, you know, from that. But it was really, her whole journey was something else.
Yeah. I think sometimes the idea behind Paul, who's one of the 10 sponsoring this Wall of Hope and paying for it through a grant, he said when he was going through treatment and when he was, you know, pretty low, he said, I, I would love to have heard stories from survivors, you know, people that made it through the other side, because sometimes when you're in the middle of it, you don't know if you're going to make it out the other side. And so he thought it would be a worthwhile project, and that's why he donated the money for the grant for the Wall of Hope. So I was honored. I was nominated by the clinical trial doctor and group for it. You had to be nominated by your doctor's team or doctor and or clinical trial team. So I was honored to be, you know, chosen and have that opportunity. So I just wanted to let you know, if you wanted to see some, you know, after I watched him, I felt uplifted, and hopefully, you know, it'll be the same for others. So I just wanted to share that.
It's always nice.
Thank you. That's incredible.
Yeah.
People that make it through.
Love that. That's such a, if everyone has shared what they want to share, that's such a nice thing to end on. That's lovely.
We need to be uplifted.
Absolutely. And I love to quote Lou that we can do hard things.
I love that. And you know what I add? I said, you know, we can do hard things. We do it every day.
Oh my gosh, that's it. That's the quote.
We can do hard things. We do it every day. I had that in a presentation that we did for the International Myeloma Foundation. My husband and I, this last fall, were asked to do a presentation to represent patient and caregiver. And so I got to stand up after my doctor had spoken, and my husband and I got to tell our story and try to give hope to others. So anyway, I love my team of doctors, and they have, you know, provided me with the best care I think I can get. I know that everybody, you know, needs to have that feeling at the cancer center, you know, that they go to. But I have to say, I have so much faith in I don't just, you know, whatever they say, I research. I'm a retired teacher.
I do too.
we research and we read,
Mm-hmm.
we ask questions, and sometimes we'll say, no, that doesn't sound quite right for me. And that's okay, because we're the patient, we're the one that should be able to make those decisions too, as the team, you know, with our doctor and
Shared
others.
decision making. That's what I'm doing too, but it's not that easy. It's not that easy.
It is not easy. But
Thank
you know,
you.
you get the best outcomes when you do.
I always watched my intuition too, you know,
Yeah.
which was a good guide, definitely. Because when I first started my therapy, it was an experimental therapy, and I had no knowledge of the disease and not of the medication. But my intuition said, "Well, this is the treatment that will help you," and it did.
Well, thank you, everyone. We can all do hard things. We do them every day. And that is what I want everyone to hold on to until we meet again next month. Because when we come here, we share things, and that makes it a lot easier when we can all carry the load. So our next meeting will be
The 5th.
March the 2nd.
March the 6th.
Yeah.
So we will see you then. And as always, it's such a pleasure to be with you. And thank you guys so much for sharing. And we'll see you next time. Bye,
Okay,
everybody.
Alexa,
Bye.
I hope you come out okay in the next day or so with your
Thank you. I appreciate that. Thank you so
Mhm.
much.